We are back at the Denver Coliseum where the 1989 U.S. Gymnastics Challenge is about to begin. On this day, gymnastics has borrowed from its basketball counterpart, and that it is a tournament style of competition that we have set up. In the first round, there were 12 gymnasts. That field was whittled down to 6. Of the 6 competitors that made it in the semifinals, 3 have advanced, and there's a bittersweet story here. Brandy Johnson and Wendy Bruce both compete for the same team. That is Brown's Gymnastics in Altamont, Florida. They are both standing by with our Bart Connor, and he'll talk about that very situation.
First of all, Wendy and Brandy, it's going to be a close competition tonight. I think you'll probably even admit that Brandy is the favorite. She's coming into this round with the highest score. But your teammate here is looking really hot in the semifinals. Does that put a little pressure on you?
I just really want to concentrate on my routines and hit them the best I can.
Are you pleased with how things are going up to this point?
So far, yeah.
What would you like to do better tonight?
Just have no mistakes on my routines and hopefully score a 10 on one of them.
Now, what about the pressure here? Of course, Brandy is #1 girl in the United States right now. She seems to really be on her game. Can you beat her?
I'm not really worried about beating her or anything. I'm just going to do my routines and hit them and try to do the best I can.
What about this rivalry? Has that put a little strain on a friendship between the two of you?
Well, we tried not to let our gymnastics interfere with our friendship, and out of the gym we're friends, and in the gym we're gymnasts.
Now, I noticed there's a lot of competition on the floor as well as off the floor. We're all serious. We're worried about this pressure of competition, and yet you guys are checking out some guy in the audience. Are you competitive for boys as well?
No.
Well, be serious. This is important stuff. Good luck to both of you. Leandra?
Thank you, Bart Connor. Our giggly teenagers have forgotten one very strong factor, and that is Lisa Panzironi. She may very well indeed be #1 when all is said and done. The vault. But before we get to our competitors, let's take a look at how they advanced to these finals. In round 1, Brandy Johnson had 39.475. In the second round, she slipped a little, 39.250. Wendy Bruce slipped it also from the first round to the second round, 0.625 to 0.550. And Lisa Panzironi, her best score was in the first round, 39.625. So both ladies, or I should say all 3 ladies, had a little bit of trouble in the second round in that possibly altitude is becoming a factor.
Well, it's going to be interesting to watch them on their opening event here, vault, because this is the event where they're most evenly matched. They're all doing similar vaults, and we'll be able to compare them and hopefully know why one gets a higher score than the other.
Certainly it's easier to compare them when they are head-to-head against each other, but we are a mile above sea level. These gymnasts are not frequently asked to perform optionals again and again and again. Plus there's the concentration pressure and the television pressure, something that these ladies are not quite accustomed to just yet. This is the face of Wendy Bruce.
Springs, Florida. Please welcome Wendy Bruce.
Wendy Bruce is 16 years of age.
Her qualifying vault scores in both the first and the second round were 9.85. She's going to do a vault called a Yurchenko with a full in a laid-out position. Good start. I'm sure her coach Kevin Brown was making sure she remembers to get a good block right here so that she can hang it up in the air.
9.8.
Her hands hit a little lightly on the pommel horse. She want to drill it back into the horse a little bit more so she can hang it up a little bit higher so she can land straight up and down and stick the landing rather than over rotating as she did. But boy, in the air, perfect form, tight body line. Nicely done.
9.825 is the score. We call it a Yurchenko, but if you break it down, it's really a round-off back handspring with a twist.
Right. Back off with a twist. Here we go. Oh, that wasn't as good. She didn't quite have the rotation that she did on the first one, partly because her hands just barely touched the horse when she went over on the back handspring part. Let's see if we can see what happens here. She does the round off onto the board. Now watch her hand position as she goes to the horse. Right here, she's just on her fingertips. She didn't quite get a solid push. That left her a little short with the rotation. Once again, round off and back handspring, very light push, not the kind of block that she needed. Her first vault, of course, will be the better score.
The second vault got a 9.75. You're right, the first one will count. 9.825 for Wendy Bruce. Her teammate and opponent is Brandy Johnson.
Second vaulter, here she is, 15-year-old
born in Tallahassee, currently lives in Altamont Springs, Florida.
Brandy's doing the same vault. There's few people in the world that do it this well.
You're not kidding.
And I've seen her do it better, but still, that was pretty incredible. Yurchenko with a full, laid out. Notice her hand position when she goes onto the horse. She drills into the horse a little bit, and her arms are pretty bent when she hits the horse right there. I've seen her do it with a little straighter arms in a more efficient blocking position. Boy, but great form, perfect toe point, legs together, and a good landing.
9.9, the score for the first vault.
Isn't that amazing? It's a 9.9, and yet we've seen her do it better.
Now ready for vault number 2.
Well, she said in your interview she'd like to get a 10. Maybe we'll see it here.
This is the place where she can do it. The technique is perfect. It's just a matter of whether she can stick it. She was really fighting that landing. She had a couple of little steps, but that was a much better position on the block. You'll notice that she had straighter arm position when she reached to the horse.
And the score.
Note the arms when she actually makes contact with the horse. A little bit straighter than they were on the first vault. She didn't quite have the air time that she normally has, though, and that, of course, didn't allow her to stick it. But this was technically so perfect. Look at the form. Notice the toe point in the air. That's hard stuff to do.
Well, they only took off for the few steps because this vault 2 was scored as a 9.9. Either one will count. 9.9 for Brandy Johnson. Again, Wendy Bruce received a 9.825. And now it is time for Lisa Panzironi to vault. We spoke with her earlier and asked her about the impact that gymnastics has had on her life. She's very young, yet it has taken her all around the world.
Well, I think I've had a lot more experience, like maturing-wise, because I lived away from home for a year, so that helped. And going to different countries and seeing different cultures and stuff, it's been a totally different experience from a regular 16-year-old who just goes to school and does sports in school and stuff like that.
Lisa Panzironi has been to Spain, England, Canada, and many points in between.
Lisa's going to attempt the same vault that we saw the other two gymnasts do. Let's see if we can compare. In one category, she was better than the other two. She had more distance from the horse. The judges are looking for good, clean form, good, tight pre-flight position, good height, and distance from the horse. Notice she does a good job here, good block. She really carries back away from the horse. Takes one small step on the landing.
We could see a difference, though, in the form. You know, just comparing it to Brandy Johnson's. Her legs are a little bit apart, toes aren't quite as pointed.
Right, she had just a minor form deduction. She had to grab her legs there to pull the rotation around.
And the score for the first vault was 9.75.
Although the pre-flight wasn't the way she wanted it, she did a nice job at compensating and sticking the landing. You'll notice on this one, when she reaches back to the horse, her arms are quite bent. But she does a good job. Notice right there, she's in pretty deep, but she really pushes and pulls this one out.
The score for the second vault was 9.625. The first vault is the one that will carry 9.75. Brandy Johnson's our leader with a 9.9. Wendy Bruce is second with 9.825. We'll be back with the uneven parallel bars for the women in just a moment. Women are just fractions apart. Brandy Johnson looking for that elusive 10, came close but not quite with a 9.9 on her vault. Wendy Bruce is in second, followed by Lisa Panzironi. And the women are now at the uneven parallel bars. And the order of competition will be Brandy Johnson, followed by Lisa Panzironi, with Wendy Bruce performing third.
Brandy was complaining before the event that in the earlier rounds, she actually hit her wrist on the bar on her second release move and sort of bruised her wrist. So we'll watch to see how she handles it today. She does 2 release moves. Her first big release comes right at the beginning. It's a reverse hecht. And then she goes to the front between the bars. There's the reverse hecht. Nice. Here comes the front. Okay, that's just right. She had trouble in the preliminaries. She was too close.
Working nicely tonight, though.
Right to the handstand on the gas. Look at the power on these giants. Full turn. Another giant to a tuck double back. Wow.
And sticks it. What a great performance by Brandy Johnson. That's the kind of style that got her first place at the American Cup.
And her coach, Kevin Brown, really did a great job at teaching her this reverse hecht. Look at how high she is. Incredible form. She segues right into a front between the bars, and today it was right on.
Score for Brandy Johnson, 9.
Here's the giant, half. Straddle back through, another giant swing, and this tuck double back is like no one else.
Sure was a great routine. The judges gave it a 9.875. And that 9.875 represents a record in this U.S. challenge. She had owned the earlier record of 9.825. She increased it by 0.05 of a point. Lisa Panzironi is up second. She competes for Parkettes. Her coach on hand is John Holman. Bill and Donna Strauss run the program at Allentown, Pennsylvania, called Parkettes.
The judges are looking for big swinging elements like the giant swing here. Nice reverse hecht. That's a release move. They need to see that. Oh! She tried the same combination exactly that Brandy Johnson did, the front between the bars after the reverse hecht. She'll lose 0.5 of a point and continue on, as she's doing very nicely here. Giant swing to a pike double. Oh.
What a disappointment for Lisa.
She had trouble on the dismount. I'm sure that she broke concentration because when she had problems on the front between the bars, I think it really surprised her. She did this reverse hecht just right. She's right where she wanted to be. Let's see what happens. Here's a straddle front. Looked like she hit on her wrist and then bounced past her fingertips, and there wasn't much she could do in terms of gripping the bar. She went ahead to continue with the giant to a pike double. She let go a hair early and kind of slung it out, and of course, it's hard to pull the rotation around from that point. Once again, let's see what happens here. It's a pike double back. She's just pulling it around like crazy, but not much she can do.
This is going to be very difficult for her to overcome as she's still considering first place in this meet, 8.650 with the balance beam still to come. We still have one more performer on the uneven parallel bars, and that is Wendy Bruce.
Watch her reverse hecht. All 3 girls are doing the same mount and a similar move right here. Look at that. Her coach, Kevin Brown, really knows how to teach those moves because his girls do them beautifully. Nice front flip, Jaeger flip.
Nice continuity.
She's very quick and aggressive, and I think this style is going to be very impressive to the judges. Look at her power, those giants. Here's a tuck double. Wow. She's on.
It's become a 2-dog fight between Wendy Bruce and Brandy Johnson, and Kevin Brown can't lose.
He really has the technique that he has taught his girls on these moves. You can see she does a blind change there through to a straddle front. She's way above the bar. She traverses to the lower bar. The judges need to see elements on both the high bar and the low bar. And look at the power as she comes across the top on that giant. A little sloppy form in the air actually on that tuck double. That's probably the only deduction in the whole exercise.
The score for Wendy Bruce, she wins uneven parallel bars, 9.85. race. She trails by 9.875 to Brandy Johnson. She's in second. Have been completed. Wendy Bruce has 19.675, so close to Brandy Johnson, our leader, with 19.775. Again, Brandy Johnson did win the uneven parallel bars by just a fraction over Wendy Bruce, and of course Lisa Panzironi had difficulty and now must really stay on the beam and hope that either Wendy or Brandy makes a mistake if she's to climb at all in these standings.
In the first round of this competition, Lisa had a 9.6 on the beam. She had a 9.3 in the semis. And what a start tonight. A round-off layout on, and that was perfect.
Good for her for coming back after that trouble on the unevens.
Boy, she seems so aggressive and so tough right now.
She seems determined. I think she's mad at herself.
Judges are looking for acro series like this. Back handspring, layout, nice. They need to see gymnastics elements like that. Side straddle leap. Here's a pretty handstand, a stag handstand out on the end, and she lowers to a semi-plunge position. It's a great deal of strength. A series of leaps. Here's the dismount. Should be a double back. Nice job.
And she should be proud of herself. What a comeback for Lisa Panzironi. John Holman giving her a well-deserved hug.
You could tell right from the start that she was aggressive and determined on this routine. This is a big-time mount. Round off, layout on. Can't get any better than that. Her acro series was the back handspring to the layout. She was very quick, very assertive. Even though she was just a little shorter rotation, she pulled it up very quickly. And she finished with a big double back. Round off. Good stretch and nice toe point in the air. Tuck double back. This shows a lot.
Score on the balance beam for Lisa Panzironi, the best that she's done in this competition, 9.675. Wendy Bruce is up next. She struggled a little bit in the first round with a 9.375, but did very well in the semifinals with a 9.6.
Brown's Gymnastics in Altamont Springs, Florida. This again, Wendy Bruce.
Wendy has a really interesting mount. Watch what she's going to do. Shoulder stand, and then she pirouettes and continues on around. Nice work. In fact, we've seen U.S. team member Phoebe Mills do that similar sequence, and that's what helped to win her the bronze medal in the Seoul Olympics last fall.
Phoebe Mills did not compete in this event. She is in France, competing in an international meet.
Here comes an acro series. Back handspring, layout, nice. You only have to do 2 elements in a row in the acro series, and yet it's really implied, and certainly the judges would like to see the gymnast attempt 3 acro elements in a row to show an increased level of difficulty. Certainly for the international level, that is what the judges were looking for.
You're probably wondering how the judges keep track of all this. At the scoring table, there's a scientific technical coordinator. That person just counts up difficulty. They do not hand a score. They just make like a checklist type of mark.
Oh, good fight on that front flip.
And then they hand the head judge the information as to whether or not something is missing. And of course, at this caliber, things are not missing unless, of course, they fall off.
She backs up all the way to the back edge of the beam for this tuck double. Nice, good power.
Uses every bit of the runway for that dismount. Wendy Bruce.
Here's the series of 3 elements. It's back handspring, step in, back handspring, step in, right to a layout. Nothing to it. She had a little trouble on this front flip. This is a very difficult move. It's a punch with 2 feet to a front flip. She was just a hair low, but she did a good job in allowing only a minor deduction. But boy, what power on this tuck double. She is up and over, finishes it very easily.
And the score for Wendy Bruce is 9.525. Lisa Panzironi had a 9.675. And now you're looking at Brandy Johnson. She is our smallest competitor at 4 feet 11 inches tall.
Rounds gymnastics. 15-year-old Brandy Johnson.
Wendy Bruce is 5'1". Lisa Panzironi is 5'3".
Oh, she was in trouble there and she stayed on.
Sure saved that. She was over the beam. I don't know how she pulled it back.
That was a move called a Diamondov. It's just like the element that the men do on parallel bars. And I'm amazed that she hung on the beam. She did a gymnastics series, those split leaps, and she's setting up here for the aggro series. Back handspring, layout. Wow, so easy. There's the full turn. The judges need to see that as well. The front. Good job. Same move that we saw Wendy Bruce have a little trouble on, but you can see where Brandy's power takes over. Watch this layout. Swing through layout.
That was perfect.
And a very nice side straddle leap. Here's the double back, tuck double. Wow. What a landing.
Big job by Brandy Johnson. Score she wants to beat is 9.675. She's happy.
Let's see if we can see how out of line she was on this move. That's a full turn there. She's way arched and way out of line. I know she comes in totally from the side, and yet she gave away very few deduction points because she covered so well and continued. Back handspring layout. So high, so clean. And of course, the tuck double back is so powerful. Very few people have this much time in the air to spot the landing as she's doing there and nail it.
I almost wonder if on that first part where she had the trouble, if she was supposed to be facing the other way and improvised a little bit there. 9.825. Brandy Johnson wins the balance beam over Lisa Panzironi. Very close battle for first place between Brandy Johnson and Wendy Bruce. Only 0.4 of a point separates first from second place. Lisa Panzironi, after her difficulty on the uneven parallel bars, well, she's still trailing in third place. But now it is time for the showcase of women's gymnastics, the floor exercise event, and Wendy Bruce will compete first, followed by Brandy Johnson and Lisa Panzironi.
Leandra, as we mentioned at the top of the show, all 3 of these girls are incredibly powerful and fun to watch because they do a lot of difficulty and have really dynamic routines. Her opening run will be a full twisting double. Easy. Oh, I think she stepped out of bounds. She did. She'll lose a tenth of a point.
saw her yell to Wendy Bruce.
Nice tuck double second pass.
Remember, these two ladies are teammates, but tonight they're against each other.
Judges are looking for 3 different acrobatic series. Here's her third, her last tumbling run. Double full.
Wendy Bruce completes her performance at the 1989 U.S. Gymnastics Challenge.
Kevin Brown does such a good job with his girls in terms of conditioning. I was talking with him today. They do conditioning every day. Some days they stress lower body conditioning, some days it's upper body, but they never miss a day of conditioning, and that's why his girls are so powerful. Her last tumbling run was a double full. She opened with a full in, did a tuck double back her second run, and she finished with a clean double full here. No problem.
And had plenty of room to spare. The score for Wendy Bruce, 9.65. And all she can do now is wait and watch.
Well, if she's waiting for Brandy Johnson to make a mistake, chances aren't too good because Brandy is so exciting on the floor exercise and so solid.
Actually, you could say that about her on any event.
National team, welcome back, Brandy Johnson.
She's been exciting. She's been solid.
She hasn't always been that way. She's always been so great on floor and vault, but a little inconsistent on bars and beam. But now that she has the consistency, she's tough to beat. And what a fun routine to watch. She'll open with a full-in pike. Beautiful leap series. One of the things the judges are looking for, a 3-element gymnastic series.
And look at Wendy cheering Brandy on.
Whip, whip, flip flop, tuck double. Just so easy for her.
Well, all she needs is a 9.27, and I'm sure she's going to get that unless something major happens between now and the end.
She has to get by this last tuck double back, but I don't see that being a problem. She never has a problem with power. Look at the lift on that tuck double.
It's hers. Brandy Johnson. She'll go over and hug Wendy Bruce. Well, they certainly challenged each other right to the finish.
As I mentioned, Kevin Brown does such a good job in terms of conditioning. That's why these girls are so powerful. If anything, they overdo elements. Full in pike, and look at, she way over rotates, but she's so strong, she controls it.
And the crowd is roaring. They heard the 9.90 announced.
As we watch her replay of her second run, whip, whip, through to tuck double back, right on top. And of course, very few people in the world can finish with a tuck double back this high and this easy. Look at that. No problem as she drops off the ceiling.
And Brandy Johnson's 9.9 will help her establish a new record for all-around totals. We'll be back with more in just a moment. We still have Lisa Panzironi on floor, plus we have to recap all of the numbers. Stay with us here in Denver, Colorado. Welcome back. Lisa Panzironi has yet to complete her floor exercise performance. We are going to watch that now. Again, Brandy Johnson received a 9.9 on the floor. Wendy Bruce, 9.65.
Here comes Panzironi, the powerhouse. She opened in the preliminary rounds with a 9.75. She had trouble in the semis. She only got a 9.125. She had trouble with her opening run, which is going to be a full-in pike. Let's see if she can make it today. Nice, just right. She's on.
I love the music from West Side Story.
A very pretty change from the powerful tumbling to the elegant dance. She went out of bounds.
I don't think she did. The judge raised her flag, but I'm right on the line of that Florex mat. Her toe was in bounds. Her heel, without going out of bounds, did cross the plane, but that's not out of bounds. I think she's going to get, unfortunately, penalized.
Let's see if we can note that when we see the replay on the last pass. But this is her first pass. This is the full in, which she had trouble in the earlier round. But boy, full in pike. Boom. That's how you do it.
Wow, it's over.
Her second tumbling run was a round-off back handspring whip back right there, and then to a back handspring to a tuck double. Perfect lift. Look at the form. Knees together, toes pointed.
It's kind of a moot point, but let's watch her foot.
She does a tuck double back here. It's going to be hard to see from this angle whether she went out of bounds or not, but notice the knees together, toes pointed in that tuck double.
See, her heel doesn't touch the ground. That was the point I was making. When she points her toe behind her, the toe was on the blue part of the carpeting where it is supposed to be. The heel did cross the plane, but that's not out of bounds. Like I said, it's a moot point. The score for Lisa Panzironi, 9.625. We'll be back with a recap of the all-around totals and some final thoughts and an interview. Stay with us. Ceremony is taking place. Brandy Johnson finished first, followed by Wendy Bruce, and this is Lisa Panzironi. She was just announced by our public address announcer, Jan Clare, as our bronze medalist. Lisa Panzironi's all-around score was 37.70.
Our runner-up scored 38.85. Brown's Gymnastics of Altamonte Springs, Florida, Wendy Bruce.
Wendy Bruce and Lisa Panzironi were both presented with a bouquet of flowers and a plaque commemorating the 1989 U.S. Challenge.
For the champion of the U.S. Challenge, the women's technical director of this competition and superior judge for women, from Conifer, Colorado, Sharon Weber. Our champion took the lead by just 35/100ths of a point from Brown's Gymnastics of Altamonte Springs, Florida, scoring 39.50, Brandy Johnson.
Brandy Johnson's margin of victory was .65 and establishes an all-around meet record. She actually beat her own record from round one. 39.5, her all-around total.
By the way, Brandy Johnson, with that all-around score, has bested her own record set last evening. She scored 39.475 tonight, 39.5.
So our congratulations congratulations to Brandy Johnson, our all-around champion. Again, her final score, 39.50. Wendy Bruce finishing second. Lisa Panzironi finishes third. There you see the final numbers. Again, Brandy Johnson's total is a meet record for the U.S. Challenge. Right now, let's go to Bart Connor. He's with Brandy's coach and Brandy Johnson herself.
Brandy, all weekend, you just seem to get better and better. Every routine better. You set records and everything, including the all-around. Your confidence just seems to be soaring.
Well, I was very well prepared for this meet, and all I knew I had to do was just to hit my routines, and that's what I did.
Kevin, you have to be proud of your star pupil here. I notice she's so powerful. Do you spend a lot of time working on conditioning and power exercises?
Bart, there's not a day that we miss conditioning. Brandy's always conditioning hard. As a matter of fact, sometimes we're conditioning twice a day, and that's what really leads up to her power. And also, she's got a lot of natural spring already, so you know, it all turns out gives her that extra power that she needs out there on the floor.
Your coach's perspective on her performance here?
Well, Bart, I was just you know, going from one day to the next. She went 3 days in a row, hitting 4 events every day, breaking records from one day to the next in this meet. So I'm just, you know, more than pleased and looking forward to what's going to happen from here.
What is going to happen from here? I guess there's a pretty hot international season coming up.
Yeah, it's real hard, Bart, and Worlds are just right around the corner in Stuttgart, and Brandy's got her goals set to be world champion, and we're working towards that, and I'm looking forward to it.
World champion, of course, this is a major international field when you go to Stuttgart. You got the top Soviets and the top Romanians. Is that going to be an added pressure?
A little bit, but once I work on my compulsories and hit my routines, I don't think it could be a problem.
Well, you have a fine future. Kevin, congratulations. Brandy, congratulations.
Thank you, Bart.
Leandra?
Once again, to recap her scoring, she received 2 9.9s, 1 9.875, and 1 9.825. Pretty lofty scores for a young lady. We'll be back with a recap. The last blank space in our bracket has been completed. We began with 12 gymnasts in the first round. 6 advanced to the semifinals. Of that, 3 moved on to the championship round. You saw them here tonight, and it was Brandy Johnson who fills the final slot. She is our 1989 U.S. Challenge. Wendy Bruce finishing second. Lisa Panzironi finishing in third place. And it was a very, very difficult matchup. And overall, Bart, your impression first on the women's senior national team. How does it look overall now that you've seen all these gymnasts?
Well, they're heading, of course, into the World Championships this fall in Stuttgart, West Germany, coming off sort of a bittersweet defeat back in Seoul, where the U.S. team was defeated from the bronze medal by just a technicality. It was an unfortunate situation, but this was very encouraging when you think about the U.S. program. Although this was just an optional exercise competition, they'll be tested on the compulsories when they get to the World Championships. There's some really exciting performers on the U.S. team.
Anytime a gymnast can get in front of a judge, it is always a valuable experience, not only because they have to perform well, but it also leaves a good impression in the judge's mind. Overall, with this type of format, this type of meet, what do you think our gymnasts learned?
I like this format, and I think the gymnasts like this format because it really tests their consistency and their conditioning. Brandy, of course, was just awesome. Every day getting a little bit better. She was strong, she was confident, and I know she'll take this confidence and carry it into the international events.
Let's talk about conditioning just a little bit. We are a mile above sea level. This is called Mile High City, and I think stamina played a big factor in it, not only in your physical conditioning, but your mental ability to focus and stay concentrated. We asked a lot of these ladies.
Well, in fact, when we talked with Kevin Brown, he was telling us about how much he emphasizes conditioning and training and really working these girls hard so that they're powerful, in fact, almost too powerful. Wendy Bruce is very exciting to watch, as is Brandy Johnson, and they carry that power, which will, when they go to an international event, they're going to need that kind of dynamic power to really stand out against the top Romanians and Soviets.
You know, I said that Brandy Johnson had a couple of 9.9s, and the other scores were 9.8 and above. Is there any place that she can improve?
Well, she looks so strong right now. I think she has all the qualities to be a really great international gymnast. As I mentioned earlier, though, she's going to have polish in the compulsory exercises, which will carry over into the other rounds in the World Championship if she's going to hope to medal.
All right, so you think the difficulty is there, certainly the pizzazz and the consistency is there.
No question.
All right, if you're not familiar with compulsory competition, that is where all the gymnasts perform the same routines, and that has always been a weak point for the USA. All right, thank you, Bart Connor. It's been a pleasure working with you, and congratulations to our men. They certainly did a fine job. The championship has been concluded for them. Lance Ringgold, in case you missed it, was our men's champion. But this day, the spotlight belongs on the women, where Brandy Johnson, with an all-around total of 39.5, and that is a meet record, is our 1989 U.S. Challenge winner. For Bart Connor, I'm Leandra Riley on behalf of our crew here in Denver, Colorado. So long, everyone. Hope to see you next year.